Namaste, hello, Adab. Welcome to AIR Hyderabad Kendra. It is an immense pleasure that we invite honorable guests to our studios to talk about a lot of various aspects to raise awareness about the environment, about our society, and everything in general which we need to know. So, the need of the hour. Go green, keep the planet clean. Save the environment, save life. And who else would be more prominent to talk about this important aspect? It is none other than Srimati VANI Prasad Garu IAS, and who's the Director General of Environment Protection Training and Research Institute, who's also the Principal Secretary to Government of Telangana. Namaskaram, ma'am. Welcome to the studios.
Namaste, JAYASRI. Thank you very much for inviting me.
It is wonderful to have you here. And Director General to the EPTRI. It is indeed a very important role that you're playing. Tell us more about EPTRI.
Well, EPTRI stands for Environment Protection Training Research Institute, and it's been started in 1992. In fact, a little before even UNFCCC was formed. It was started by Government of India and the state government with the financial assistance of Swedish Development Agency. So the initial funding for establishing this institute and all that came together from all these agencies. And even now, the governing body of EPTRI is headed by the Chief Secretary of Telangana government, and we have representatives from industry, from academia, from Government of India, and so on. So it's a body which is actually completely autonomous, and it also is a self-sustained organization. That is to say, we do carry out a lot of consultancy work. We do enormous general awareness programs. We give trainings in fields related to environment. And we also see that research is done into a lot of impact of aspects which relate to environment.
Right. As the theme of 2023 World Environment Day, it is, beat plastic pollution. So I've also read that a lot of research is being done in your institute to find better solution to avoid plastic.
Oh yeah, that's a very good question. Indeed, this year is being designated as the Beat Plastic Pollution Year. And the reason for this is that today the enormous generation of waste, our consumption, our production, everything is leading to a lot of wastage.
Yes.
Whether it is we probably make a purchase order, or we order something home, or we have even a cup of tea. What we do is to generate a lot of waste. What we do is we tear sachets of paper, and then we end up with a lot of waste. And all waste can somehow be treated. That is, say, if it is wood waste or paper or cloth or glass, all these can be recycled. But when it comes to plastic, unless we segregate it and we send it for recycling, it is a potential danger for the world.
Right.
The reason being, plastic doesn't, degenerate. It doesn't degrade. So for that reason, it is bound to remain on the surface of the earth for 1,00,000 years or more, or things like that. And even worse, if it undergoes extreme heat or temperature, it releases very toxic gases. For that reason, plastic is a huge waste, and which is a challenge today to human life. Right. That's because whatever plastic we throw which is not treated, ultimately it reaches rivers and oceans, and it is threatening. Threatening marine life. And one more dangerous thing that we see now is that microplastics are things that are actually getting into even human tissue.
Oh.
Research shows that microplastics can be found even in human blood. So this is at a stage where together everyone has to kind of combat the waste, the plastic waste that is there.
Right, ma'am. So that follows up my next question. So what is the best way that we can create a very, environmental friendly environment around us, and how can we contribute less towards, climate change, and how do we take it about?
Right. Well, we'll start off, we'll continue on the plastic waste, for instance. How as individuals can we make a difference? For example, an entire plastic which is recyclable is that plastic which can be collected. And then again, it will be incinerated, or it will be recycled into some other plastic articles. Whereas the single main danger is with the single-use plastic, or
Right.
the throwaway plastic, the use and throw plastic. So government has banned such plastic now. So it is our duty to see that we comply with that. That is to say, a ball pen that you buy or a water bottle that you buy, you throw it away. So instead, if there are things that you use and throw, or if you can avoid that, you're contributing in a very big way. And a few things that EPTRI has tried to create a campaign for in single-use plastic, along with the Telangana Pollution Control Board, is that we're trying to impress on people that when you leave home, carry a bag with you. When you leave home, carry a steel water bottle. Right? So that you do not have the necessity or a need to buy a use and throw kind of a product.
But sometimes, on behalf of some of the people that I come across, they say, so many people are doing it. What happens if I use one bottle? So how important is a single person's contribution and a single person's thought which goes into it?
Well, a single person can move mountains, so to say. In the sense, we have heard of people who have created forests single-handedly.
Yes.
Now, this being the VANI Mahotsav week.
Oh, yes.
Yes. We know very well that there have been people who have done this single-handedly, changed the environment around them. We have heard of people in Telangana itself, from Khammam, and there is a person in Telangana, Duschela Satyanarayana, who has done created a forest in 70 acres in his own private land. And we also have Vana Ramaya. He was awarded the Padma Shri award in 2017.
Yes.
These are people who single-handedly could create forests. So if that being the case, single-handedly a lot of things can happen. A small movement, a little trickle here, a drop here, can lead to a big movement. And in fact, environmental movements have been things which were carried out by single individuals.
Yes.
There are many examples.
Oh, yes. Chapko movement, for example.
Absolutely.
Yes. So, talking more about Vana Mahotsav, the name itself suggests it's a celebration. So, how is the celebration so significant in India, and how are we celebrating this entire week, 1st to 7th of July?
Yes, indeed. And it is so fitting that we, in our culture, we mark a week for celebration of forests. As you said, Vanam is forest,
yes,
or trees, and celebration. So we got to celebrate trees, we got to celebrate nature around us. Because, it will be very fundamental to talk about the oxygen and the flood control trees do, and the rains that trees bring. But in the modern context, there's another great use of forests. And it is that you would have heard our Honorable Prime Minister speaking of, and the Chief Minister of Telangana also speaking of renewable energy. Right. Shift to green energy. The energy sources which are polluting the world, we are moving towards other cleaner energy sources. And for all this, the kind of carbon dioxide that is generated through our production systems, through industrial pollution or things like that, for any economic activity, what's happening is that the carbon dioxide and the GHG gases, which are contributing to climate change, all these can be kind of offset. Our net zero emissions can be achieved if we increase the tree cover.
Yes.
So even in that, you got to celebrate forests, because this is the answer to bring about net zero emissions. That is, we won't stop generating carbon dioxide, but certainly forest cover will help to capture that carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and it will kind of create the net it cancels out the ill effects of carbon dioxide. So even in that sense, in the modern context, when we talk about clean energy, when we talk about say net zero, when we talk of green transition, it is here that forests are going to be of help.
Yes.
Because they are going to absorb the carbon dioxide. So in a true sense, Vana Mahotsav has to be a celebration of forests, because they are not only an answer to all our problems, but also to our modern aspirations to be a net zero country, to be a decarbonized economy. Forests are what are going to help us.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much for giving a beautiful explanation. And with Vana Mahotsav, we are also contributing against global warming. So, how is it like? How do you think the effect of this is on global warming?
Well, Jayasree, actually, Global warming was the initial concept. Now I think it is more referred to as climate emergency.
Climate emergency.
Yes.
It's a beautiful way to bring out that rush that you have to
Yeah.
do something. Yeah.
That's right. And climate change. So actually it initially started as a concept of global warming. But now it is more frequently, it is used in terms of climate change and a climate emergency, which we have to handle, which we have to tackle. Now, to say that since industrial revolution, for the last 200-300 years, what we are noticing is there's a general increase in the global temperature.
Right.
Okay, observed over a long period of time, there's an increase in the global temperature. Right now, all the countries are concerned to see that this increase in global temperature does not go beyond 1.5 degrees. Right now, it has reached up to 1.5. The idea is to see that we don't at any cost reach 2 degrees centigrade.
Yeah, let it go up.
Because the damage that even this increase of temperature is causing is phenomenal. For example, this is leading to oceans increasing the temperature. Okay, the water. The upper layers of up to 700 meters are the ones which absorb maximum heat. Oceans absorb about 64% of the heat that is generated by excessive carbon dioxide. And that is one reason. The second thing is this warming of oceans. It goes to melt the polar ice caps. Because a warmer ocean, what it does is to melt ice, and the glaciers, when they move down, the sea levels rise. And when the sea levels rise, what you see is coastal areas getting submerged and a lot of coastal areas losing their area, which means livelihoods would be impacted. Right. There are many island countries which are facing this crisis. And this general increase in global temperature also leads to extreme weather events. By extreme weather events, we mean either cyclones or heavy rainfall or droughts.
Right.
So, and the kind of imbalance it is going to bring about in the weather systems is going to affect farmers and everybody else. Because the monsoons wouldn't follow the same pattern, and you would have a lot of other impacts due to unpredictability of weather. So you cannot plan your agricultural operations, or you become vulnerable to such disasters like, say, floods or
natural
heavy rains or even droughts.
Yes.
So therefore, it is a problem now that everyone has to face, and countries of the world are meeting now repeatedly. You would have heard of COP21, COP26, 27, 28. The single point agenda before everybody is to see that we combat this global warming or climate change or climate emergency that we are seeing.
Absolutely. Wonderfully explained. And climate emergency, yes, we all are affected by it, and we all are in this to at least give our little contribution, whatever we could as an individual, and also raise awareness. So we have our wonderful honorable guest right here. She is none other than the Director General of Environment Protection Training and Research Institute, and also Principal Secretary to Government of Telangana, none other than Srimati VANI PRASAD IAS with us. And I'm making the best use of asking the most important questions. Right now, our planet, our responsibility. But so saying that, there is also a global urgency to protect our environment from various aspects that are happening around us. And we're raising awareness. But ma'am, urgency is a word that we use for something really, really, urgent. So why this word global urgency?
I'm glad you said that. Yes, indeed. It is an urgency. It's a global urgency. And the United Nations says there are 3 triple global emergencies right now. The first is pollution. The way our production systems or even our consumption or the way business as usual is going on is very, very polluting. So second problem is biodiversity loss. Every action that we do is killing away homes of a lot of species.
Natural habitat is being lost.
Absolutely. So it is biodiversity loss, which is happening in a very big manner, because habitats are being lost for marine animals or for land-born animals, forest-dwelling animals, and a lot of species, whether it's insects, whether it is huge ecosystem or biospheres are getting disturbed. And the second, as I said, biodiversity loss is one emergency, the second one is pollution, and the third one is climate change. Of course, we talked about climate change. So these three, according to the United Nations, are the triple emergencies in the environment sector.
Right. And I know that national level in our country and even at a regional level, state level, we're taking so many steps for sustainability development, and we have our goals and the basic steps to raise awareness and conducting programs. So tell us more about those.
Yes. In fact, what you used, the word is really, really critical. We are looking for sustainable development. Often it is thought that, environment or environment awareness or consciousness means stopping development. It really necessarily is not so. It is not that it is either development or environment. It's not anything like that. It is about sustainable development. Now, what do we mean by sustainable development? By that we mean that we use the resources of this earth, because we get every resource from the earth, from the planet, isn't it? So every resource that we use from the planet, we should use it wisely in such a manner that there is something left for future
generations.
Yes.
Right.
So if you are kind of exhausting the entire resources, then that is not sustainable development, because you cannot enjoy these resources in future. And then what happens with that? You create a lot of scarcities. In case tomorrow, lot of minerals or coal or fossil fuels, these are not going to be there. Not that they are good for us, but in case they're not there, then there's going to be huge scarcity unless you find alternatives to them. And there are many other metals which we use today, and they will not be available at the rate we are using them as of now.
Right.
So sustainable development, or forests for that matter. So sustainable development means you use your resources in a wise manner so that you leave something for the future generations.
Definitely.
And
we should not be selfish by utilizing everything and exhausting everything.
Exactly. So that is the ethical argument. And economically also, if you exhaust things, what happens? Shortages are created, then the prices go up, or that you are dependent on imports, which is not good for you as a country or as an economy. Therefore, the stress is now more on having a sustainable development, whereby you use your resources efficiently, you conserve them, you don't waste them, and you also use them in such a way that they're not plundered or used rapaciously.
Yes.
In a way that nothing is left for future.
So, ma'am, do you see hope in future when all these steps are being undertaken? What is the hope that you see for our future generations?
Well, of course, there is hope, and there is trust in human nature as well. Though, of course, you see what you see now could be very, very disappointing, but then there are also a lot of examples of hope. Mm-hmm. There are people, institutions and individuals who are seriously working for environment. And in fact, today, if countries are sitting over conferences, not talking about nuclear disarmament or not talking about any other power broking, but mostly about environment, it is a hope.
Forests,
yes,
rivers.
Yes. See, I think we hear more about COP than any other. COP is Convention of Parties, or a meeting of countries to discuss about environment. So it's a good sign. And there are two good victories that we have seen so far. The ozone layer, which was a real big threat, and the Montreal Protocol, which happened in the 90s. We have been able to reduce those chlorofluorocarbons which deplete ozone layer. And now the ozone layer is not that endangered. So it's a good sign. There is hope. And there is also the rapid growth of non-conventional energy, say solar energy or wind energy. This growth of non-conventional or renewable energy sources, they don't get depleted, right? These are also growing. So even according to the UNEP report, it is one of the best good signs and good hope that, that the world can progress towards a better, cleaner and environment-friendly economy.
Absolutely. So all ma'am says is grow trees and not pollution. Also, we see plastic-free July that's going on right now, and we're also seeing sustainable living that people are promoting, minimalism that everybody's promoting. So there is hope. Ma'am, finally, you're making a lot of difference by being the Director General and guiding so many students and people towards the right direction with EPTRI. Tell us, how do we, our listeners and we, connect with EPTRI in case of any opportunities or volunteering, or we want to learn and know more?
Oh, wonderful. EPTRI is open for everybody, every environment enthusiast. We are open for students. We even give them internships opportunities at EPTRI. Anybody with an innovation or anyone who has a research idea is most welcome to walk into EPTRI.
Wonderful.
Then you can see our website, and we conduct a lot of training programs. Some of them are paid because we are a self-sustained institution, but there are some which are free webinars and so on. So in case anybody is interested in some of these training courses, EPTRI is available to give training. For example, EIA courses are one. Then we give training on solar energy,
Right.
how to establish a plant and so on. And then we have an accredited lab, analytical lab,
Right.
where we have sophisticated equipment. And we give them instrumentation training and a lot of trainings. I'm sure you can catch up on our website.
Yes.
It is open for students, for any enthusiast who's willing to connect with us.
So do check in the website of EPTRI. And ma'am, one final message to our listeners from your end.
Well, Government of India and Government of Telangana are also being one of the leaders in environmental action, very affirmative action. So first thing I would say is that Government of India has now introduced, our Honorable Prime Minister has introduced the concept of LIFE, which is lifestyle for environment. In that, it helps, LIFE, LIFE, which is lifestyle for environment, it stands for individual actions to help environment. That is, things like even if you travel by a electric vehicle instead of maybe your own two-wheeler, which is run by petrol, you're contributing to environment. Or if you're using a cloth bag instead of a plastic bag,
yeah.
that is contributing to environment. And our government has laid down some rules or certain commitments to the global community in which we are planning to be leaders, which is to go net zero by 2070. These were the statements of Honorable Prime Minister.
Right.
Similarly, even in the government of Telangana, we have a prestigious program of Haritaharam,
Yes.
where the largest plantation program has happened in the entire country.
Indeed.
And in fact, it is supposed to be the third largest in the world.
Wow.
So that's a great thing by which we could improve our forest cover. So this a real contribution, and restoration of tanks that has happened in Telangana is also phenomenal, environmental friendly kind of a program that was taken up.
Right. So your message to everybody goes as to individual action. Do your bit.
Yes, each one's action, just like it is said in the LIFE program, can make a difference. So its planet is our only home, and each one matters, and every action matters. Nothing goes to waste.
Yes.
Yes.
So be responsible for our planet. Vani Prasad ma'am, thank you so much for being a part of this amazing program, and thank you for coming into our studios. Akashvani is immensely grateful, and thank you so much from our team.
Thank you so much. Thank you.